So recently, I just finished beating Dark Souls 1 with no armor and bare fists only, and decided I should take it easy and try beating Bloodborne with Bloodtinge only. Shouldn't be too hard, right? The rules for this run are quite simple. I cannot level any stats besides Bloodtinge, I cannot use summons for help, and lastly, I must beat every boss in the game. With all that said, let's get this party started. I start off by naming my character Bloody Bobby because it kind of rhymes. For the class, I go with the military veteran. I know it doesn't make any sense right now, but I'll explain it in a bit. With the character creation done with, we can get this nightmare started. I wake up to a blind old man giving me drugs, so a typical Tuesday. I then proceed to have a lovely acid trip where a bloody wolf burns to death and little cum creatures start walking all over me. With that lovely dream over with, I busted out of the examination room and flailed around for a few minutes to give this giant dog a prostate exam. After successfully cleaning out the giant dog's colon, I find a lantern and warp to the hunter's dream, where I can pick up my starting weapon. So the thing is, for Bloodtinge, there's no starting weapon that scales with Bloodtinge. There are only 5 right-handed weapons in the game that scale with Bloodtinge: the Rifle Spear, the Rider Palash, Bloodletter, Shikage, and Simon's Bowblade. You might be thinking Shikage is the best option for Bloodtinge run. Sadly, none of the stats for the classes match the requirements to use it, so that only leaves Bloodletter and Simon's Bowblade as my only 2 options, since I could use the military veteran class for Bloodletter or the professional class for Simon's Bowblade. As you already know, I decided to use Bloodletter, simply for its S scaling at +9 for more damage. The bad thing about this is, I cannot get Bloodletter until I beat Ludwig, the Living Failures, and Lady Maria, so we won't be seeing Bloodletter for a hot minute. So that only leaves us with one option for early game, and that's the Rifle Spear, which is also locked behind a boss. So I went with the Saw Cleaver to save time. For the left-handed weapon, I went with the trusty Hunter's Pistol. After acquiring my tools for slaughter, I proceed to slaughter the locals, fight a giant dude, die to said giant dude because I forgot how to play the game, then remember how to play and kill the giant dude. Pick up some upgrade materials for later, pick up some blood echoes, and take on my first boss, the Cleric Beast. I start off by trying to get the head break and whiff like the noob that I am. Oh, did I forget to mention this is only my second playthrough? Whoops. After showing off my professional gamer skills, I focus on kiting to the side to avoid attacks while breaking body parts using the Saw Cleaver's trick attack. With all the limbs broken besides his head, sadly, I just stay on his behind and tickle his butthole for an easy victory.
Did someone say butthole?
Scully, what are you doing here? You can only be in Dark Souls 1.
I am bigger than that now. First I will conquer the FromSoft titles, then the world.
Oh, thank God, it was just a nightmare. After waking up from that horrible nightmare, I nab some more upgrade materials, grab a snaggy new outfit, pop some blood echoes, and level up to 17. With all that done, it's time to take on Daddy Gascoigne. For Gascoigne's first phase, I just tried to parry him and then get some backstabs off. Unfortunately, I struggled a bit pulling this off, but I was able to get him to his second phase, where I became the prey instead of the hunter. For the second go around, I did much better with the parry to backstab tactic. So well, in fact, I got him to a quarter of his health. For his second phase, I found out you could parry his claw attack after the second swing finishes, and with learning this new trick, I was easily able to make Father Gascoigne call me Daddy. I then proceed to take his wife's brooch. She won't be needing it anymore. Grab the Blood Gem Workshop tool to equip blood gems, and then smash Gascoigne's wife's brooch into pieces for a red blood gem. With that active evil done, I level up to 21 and start making my way to Old Yarnum. Along the way, I meet a completely sane and normal person who definitely wouldn't do anything crazy or irrational, and he gifts me with some fire paper. What a nice fellow. I finally made it to Old Yarnum, ignore some warnings, visit with the locals, and push an asshole off a cliff. I like how it's a running theme in Souls games, you get rewarded by pushing some poor sap off a ledge. I just fucking love it. The reward for killing Jura is the Powder Keg Badge, which I will need to buy the Repeating Pistol. After killing Jura, I do some parkour and pick up the Rifle Spear. Fun fact, the Rifle Spear is considered the worst weapon by the community, and I kind of understand why after this run. With those things done, I open the shortcut to the lamp and head back to the Hunter's Dream. In the Hunter's Dream, I upgrade my rifle spear to +3 and equip the red blood gem. At this point in time, it did not occur to me this was a droplet. See? Newbie. Before leaving, I hit level 25. From here, I start grinding for 13,000 blood echoes, 10,000 for Hunter Chief Emblem, and 3,000 for the repeating pistol. I use the werewolves in Central Yarnum for some easy farming. After getting the echoes, I buy the handkerchief and the pistol. The reason I am buying the repeating pistol is it has a B scaling in Bloodtinge at +10 and does more damage than the other pistols thanks to its double shot. And yes, even more than the Evelyn with its S scaling in Bloodtinge. Unfortunately, it will be a minute before it becomes useful. With that done, it's time to take on the third boss, Vicar Amelia. For this fight, I decided to stick with the Saw Cleaver just to make things easier since it has serrated damage and the Rifle Spear does not. I also went with using oil urns and fire paper to help with the lack of damage. Which did not go to plan the first 3 attempts, but the 4th attempt went much better. With getting some limb breaks off with a well-timed visceral, I was able to score my 4th prey slaughtered. With Amelia defeated, I get the gold pendant, which I can break and get the gold blood gem. Here, I realize the red blood gem is a droplet and equip the gold blood gem. With that done, I whisper some dirty words to a door.
Your hinges won't be the only thing squeaking tonight.
After that lovely conversation, I make my way through the Forbidden Woods to unlock the shortcut back to the lamp. Here I make a new friend who I instantly betray and make him fall to his death. You don't have to befriend him, I just wanted to. After Walter is dead, his buddy shows up to take revenge to unfortunately succumb to the same death. Gravity. Madara's twin will drop the Madara's Whistle. The great thing about Madara's Whistle is that it has a S scaling in Bloodtinge, and scales past the soft cap of 50 all the way to 99. The only downsides are the 4 bullet costs, it's slow to use, and another detail that I didn't discover until the next boss fight. Speaking of the next boss fight, it's time for the Blood-Starved Beast. So my strategy for the Blood-Starved Beast was to use blood cocktails and Madara's Whistle. Let's freeze for a second. I did not test Madara's Whistle before using it, so my dumbass presumed it would send the serpent onto the enemy. As you can see, I am about to find out the hard way how it actually works. So after that fumble, I just tried to fight the Blood-Starved Beast normally, but that didn't work out. For the second round, I went back with my original idea, but this time I actually made sure to use the whistle properly this time. And after successfully learning how to blow properly and a few slaps to its blind side, the Blood-Starved Beast goes down. With my new powers of blowing, I tried to convince a grave robber for a trade, but he decided to beat the shit out of me instead. I then get access to Yargul Unseen Village. Here, I get some upgrade materials from the Wandering Madness and by killing some snatchers. After having my fill of grinding, I head to Hemwick Charnel Lane and take on the Witch of Hemwick, who I sadly died to. I honestly think this is worse than dying to Pinwheel. After embarrassing myself, I chase the little shits down and let Madara do his thing. With only a sliver of health left, I decided to finish her off with the rifle spear. It might not be the best weapon, but it deserves some love too. With that easy victory out of the way, I pick up the Rune Workshop tool. On the way out, I kill another Wandering Madness for some Twin Blood Stone Shards, which I then use to upgrade my rifle spear to +6. After upgrading, I felt ready to take on the Shadows of Yharnam, and this is where I hit my first roadblock. Due to there being 3 of them, it makes getting Madara off a bit harder, which leads to a small death streak. On my 3rd death, I found that the gun was a better option than using Madara. So after dying, I went back to the Hunter's Dream and upgraded my repeating pistol to +5. Now, what I should have also done at this point is buy Bone Marrow Ashes to increase my pistol's damage by 2.55. Unfortunately, I will not realize until much later that I can buy it. So the hard way it is. So my plan is to weaken the fire user using the rifle spear to the point of transformation, and then use Madara to finish him off since he will be standing still. Once he is dead, I would focus on the most annoying of the 3, the sword user. For him, I focus on parrying his attacks, then going for a visceral, and finally, when his HP is low enough, finish him off with Madara. Once he's out of the way, I just rush attack the last one. He will just keep dashing to the side as long as you keep pressure to him, which will then lead to his death. It only took 6 tries, but I earned my 6th prey slaughtered. After that well-earned victory, I level up to 45 to take on Dark Beast Parl. My plan was just to use Madara here since it snaps his legs like a toothpick, but Murphy told me to go fuck myself as usual. I painstakingly repeated this pattern 5 more times until I finally won. It would have just been easier if I just used the gun with the bone marrow, but I wasn't being a smart cookie at the time. With the Dark Beast Parl dealt with, I bully an old man for his rune and take on Rom, the vacuous spider. My plan was straightforward, just let Madara do all the work. What wasn't in the plan was Rom's hard head, and I was not going to stand for this. I am the only hard-headed person in this neck of the woods, so I went back in and blew him away to victory. Who would have thought blowing a spider off would be so satisfying? From here, I get a quick cutscene warning me of the nightmares of parenthood. After running away from a crying child, I level up, grab the upper cathedral key, pick up some bloodstone chunks, and take on the One Reborn. On my first playthrough of the game, I was just able to DPS him down. I never realized you could kill the bell ladies up top. So the plan went like this: kill the ladies up top, and then take on the One Reborn. Simple enough. Sadly, my damage wasn't too great at this point, and I was doing a great job of getting hit by his leg thingies. So after dying one too many times, I upgraded my rifle spear to +7 when I should have been upgrading my pistol instead. But with that said, I went back to it. I took out the bell ladies, then proceeded to use Madara to break the boss, then pop a beast blood pellet to increase my rifle spear's damage and smack away. 6 times the charm, as they say. After taking way too long to kill the One Reborn, I head to the lecture building, befriend Spider Patches to get the anti-clockwise metamorphosis, and then kill him because I am called Bloody Bobby for a reason. With Spider Patches dead, I head to the Nightmare Frontier to take on motherfucking Amygdala. I died to this piece of shit 15 times. The worst part is, this doesn't even come close to the boss that has the highest kill count on me. The majority of my deaths were due to Amygdala jumping and me not being able to see him and getting landed on. Besides that giant hiccup, my strategy was to hit his head after he does his slam attacks to the point of breaking it, and then use a visceral attack which then leads to 3 opportunities to use Madara on his arm. It only took my 15th attempt to realize I had a gun, and proceeded to use it to kill the giant piece of shit. I make things way harder than they need to be. With Amygdala sent to hell, I level up to 58 and make my way through the Nightmare of Menace to take on Mikolash. And oh dear god, I do no damage to him. Even Madara was only doing a measly 586 damage, in comparison to the other bosses where it was doing over 1,000 at this point. The smart move again would be the gun, but that still hadn't clicked for me yet. So after an hour of trying this and starting to worry about damage output for later bosses, I decided to grind myself up to 75, which helped a little bit. It only increased my damage by 79. But it did lead me to getting to his second phase to end up getting one-shotted by him. I was about to lose my mind, but I stayed calm. Kind of. I kept at it until finally on my 12th try, I was successful in killing the nutcase. With Mikolash finally defeated, I killed the worst enemy in the game for a blood gem, and pick up another one in the adjacent area. After increasing my damage, I make my way up the castle to take on Murgo's wet nurse. Went about 2 rounds with her and said fuck this. I decided to go to the abandoned old workshop to pick up 1/3 of the umbilical cord, unlock the upper cathedral ward, and take on the celestial emissary instead. I'm just going to be honest here, I winged the shit out of this. I just started spamming Madara's whistle like crazy until the boss's health was low enough to shoot him to death. A very lazy way to earn my 12th prey slaughtered. With Celestial Emissary slayed, I went straight to a Britis, Daughter of the Cosmos, and it was going well, dealing 1,548 damage. It made getting to her second phase very easy. Now, dealing with this second phase is a whole nother story. I got her to her second phase 10 times to just die. This one particularly hurt me deeply. My stubbornness was my downfall in this one. It was so easy using Madara's whistle on her that I tunnel visioned myself to just using that one attack. It wasn't until the 11th try where I finally broke out of my stubbornness and used the rifle spear on her when she only had a sliver of health left to end my torture of insanity. For my reward, I got to kill a crazy lady and obtain a second umbilical cord. After that, I find my acceptance letter to Hogwarts and take my leave for my new journey of being a wizard. Come to find out, it was all a lie to send me into a spiral of depression. But joke's on them, I just went on a murder spree. In my fit of rage, I stupidly decided to take on Martyr Logarius. It wasn't a very long fight. After calming down from my dreams being shattered, I decided to head to the DLC to see how bad it was going to be. It was bad. Very bad. It was at this point that I said fuck it and decided to level to my max level for this run, 102. It was also at this point I decided to start using the cum dungeon since grinding was just becoming tedious at this point for levels, blood vials, and bullets. Fun fact, it didn't help that much. At this point, the majority of bosses' attacks one-shot me. Not all of them though, just a good portion of them. The thing about Murgo's Wet Nurse is she constantly moves after she attacks, so it makes it a bit tricky to get Madara off. And with Rifle Spear's main scaling being skill and not Bloodtinge, it wasn't doing great damage. I honestly at this point had no clue what to do besides go back in and hope I figure something out. And funny enough, I did. On my 14th attempt, my Rifle Spear was on the verge of breaking, so out of frustration, I decided to shoot the boss. At this moment, I realized the damage was decent with the repeating pistol with it only being at +7, and it finally dawned on me that there is an item in the game that can boost gun damage. So after dying, I finally went stock up on some Bone Marrow Ashes. First go wasn't too bad, but I got caught in her Nightmare move and ended up dying. I did learn from this that the Bone Marrow Ashes got her close to half health with 10 shots. So my plan was to lower her health close to half and then use the gun to finish her off. The most important part was dodging the Nightmare attack since it's her most dangerous attack. If you didn't know this, when the Wet Nurse starts the cast, when both of her hands come together, you just need to dash to the side 3 times and you will avoid the attack entirely. I ended up having to do this twice, but successfully dodging her Nightmare attack was the key to success. It only took me 16 tries to put this Wet Nurse out of a job. With Murgo's Wet Nurse no more, I went back to the DLC and it was a shit show. I tried Ludwig 9 times. Not once could I get him to his second phase. At this moment, I knew I needed to be smart and go finish upgrading my repeating pistol. So I went on an adventure collecting bloodstone chunks, 1 bloodstone rock, and a damp Bloodtinge gem. To upgrade my repeating pistol to +10 and equip the damp Bloodtinge gem to it. With preparations done with, I head back in to take on everyone's favorite boss, and man, those upgrades and damp gem did wonders. With dealing 1100 damage with the Bone Marrow Ashes and getting a Visceral off, I was easily able to get to Ludwig's second phase. I am now obligated to let this cutscene play out. Enjoy.
You were at my side all along. My true mentor, my guiding moonlight.
Glad to have y'all back. Now let's watch as Ludwig makes me his bitch. For some reason, I thought he opens with his charge attack, but I learned the hard way that's not the case. Oh well, back in I go. I repeated the same strategy, but this time I was able to get some pokes in to help reduce his health a bit more, so when I got to the final shot before the second phase, it put him below half health. For the second phase, I focused on shooting his chest for an easy break and visceral. From here, it came down to being patient and waiting for the right opportunity to use Madara or my last Bone Marrow Ash. And I died, shit. Well, it wouldn't be an Arcane video if I didn't drop the ball near the end. So I went back at it, and on my 15th try, I stumbled my way to victory. I got smacked to left and right, used all my Bone Marrow Ashes but 1 to get him just below half health, somehow survived more onslaughts of hits, used my last Bone Marrow to get him to a quarter of health, survived some more hits, and then gambled using Madara during a swing combo which caused a limb break for me to get a Visceral off to slay Ludwig the Holy Blade. Such a messy, chaotic, but insanely fun fight. Afterwards, I happily put on some church clothes and gleefully tell Ludwig his peeps are some assholes. I then dance around some hunters to get Lawrence's skull. With that acquired, I sped my way through the very ethical hospital and found the living failures, who I died to 11 times because I couldn't figure out the damn meteor attack. I never saw this attack during my first playthrough because I killed them mid-summoning it. I finally realized I could use the giant sunflower to block it. They were straightforward besides that. I just used all 10 bone marrow shots and then finished them off with Madara. With the living failures out of the way, that only leaves Lady Maria in my way to Bloodletter. Okay, I need to get this out of the way. As you can see, I'm near victory, and I ended up trading blows somehow. In slow-mo, I can see the blood attack, but it doesn't look like it's hitting me, especially in real time. I 100% was confused why I got hit, but the real kicker is after. I noticed the opening for a visceral, so I go in for it, but with her in her third phase, her blood turns into fire afterwards. At that moment, I wasn't thinking and walked forward instead of dashing, which led to me getting hit, missing my opportunity to get the visceral. Let this be a lesson to you all. Always dash forward for viscerals, because if I would have dashed, I would have dodged the fire and won on my third attempt, instead of dying right afterwards, sending me into a decent losing streak. Overall, Lady Maria's fight is the same as you would normally fight her. Just parry her starting combo and rinse and repeat. The only difference is using the bone marrow ashes and using Madara for her second phase and third phase transitions. Instead of describing to you the winning attempt, I'm just going to let it play out. By far the fight I'm the most proud of. So satisfying. After that satisfying victory, I run straight to the fishing hut and get the underground cell inner chamber key. My lord, what a name. With the key in hand, I open the cell door to Bardor and kill him for Bloodletter. With Bloodletter in hand, I upgrade it to +9. With Bloodletter fully upgraded, I decide to pay Martyr Ligarius a visit. And damn it. Let's just ignore that. So for Ligarius, I just DPS him down with Bone Marrow Ashes until he got a lucky hit off on me, which scared me and gave him time to cast his damn Sword Storm spell, while I comedically miss a lock-on shot. Actually, wait, rewind? Oh, his spell AoE curved the bullet up. Oh, touche, Ligarius, touche. I then proceed to panic roll, not knowing where the hell he was going to pop up. After a while, he finally popped out, and with some well-timed dash attacks and one gunshot, he went down on the third attempt. Only 4 more bosses to go. Next on my list is Lawrence, the first Vicar. Y'all thought I was frustrated with Amygdala, but in comparison to Lawrence, Amygdala and I are BFFs. Lawrence just has some of the most infuriating attacks to deal with, mostly due to the fire increasing the hitbox range. I'm assuming this, by the way. From re-looking over the footage, it just looks like some attacks have a bigger reach due to the flames, but I could be wrong. On top of all that, he has the largest amount of health out of all the bosses, coming in with an HP of 21,242. So in dealing with this sponge of a boss, whose majority of his attacks one-shot me, especially in the second phase, led to me dying 32 times. It was at this point I snapped. I'd come so close multiple times to just be set back 30 minutes to an hour to almost beat him again to just die. So I had enough at this point. Especially the damn run back where I had to go back to the Hunter's Dream to restock back up each time on Bone Marrow Ashes and then run all the way to the boss room. I honestly at this point just wasn't enjoying the fight and just wanted to be done with him. So I decided at this point to use dungeon glyphs to get another bloodstone rock to upgrade bloodletter to +10, get a better gem for my repeating pistol, and one better gem for bloodletter. I could have gotten more, but I didn't want to go that far with it. So after caving and increasing my damage, it did help with getting a bit more consistent with getting Lawrence to his second phase. My strategy for this fight was to start off by running behind his scripted fist slam attack, stay behind the left leg to avoid the AoE damage, and get off a full combo in hopes of breaking some limbs. The overall goal was to get his health close to halfway to where he starts doing more jumping attacks. In this phase, I switched to my gun going for headshots for visceral opportunities. After this, I go straight to shooting him until he reaches his last phase. From here, I have two options: shoot with a gun until I run out of bone marrow, which does not guarantee a kill, or wait for him to spit lava and use the opportunity to use Madara. The strategy worked well, but was not foolproof. I ended up dying a collective total of 44 times. On my winning attempt, I was actually able to get him to the halfway point before getting the visceral off. So when the second phase came around, I started shooting like a madman until I had the opportunity to use Madara. And very importantly, after using Madara, I made sure to walk behind Lawrence to avoid any of his arm swing attacks, which then left me wide open to finish Lawrence off with a bone marrow ass shot. Finally ending this fucking nightmare once and for all. With Lawrence the first douche dead, it's time for the Orphan of Kos. Most of you are probably thinking this was going to be the boss I struggle the most with. I'm happy to say that's far from the case. The nice thing about the Orphan of Kos is his attacks are easy to read, which makes dodging and getting hits fairly simple. Unfortunately, the real trouble comes from his second phase where he gets a bit more chaotic. The upside to this is you can actually prevent or prolong him from going to his second phase by constantly keeping pressure on him, which was the key to beating him. So my strategy for the first phase was to use Bloodletter to get Orphan down to half health. The best times for this are when Orphan does his jump attack, overhead attack, and his big whip attack. Once at half health, I switch to shooting bone marrow shots. For this, I make sure to keep shooting him after he attacks to keep triggering him to keep attacking me. Sadly, I didn't keep the pressure up in my winning attempt due to trying to get a visceral off, which led to Orphan entering his second phase. I got a bit lucky with him not doing an AoE attack from the start, but he then started to spam his poop throwing move. Lucky enough, I was able to survive it and get a bone marrow shot off, which left him with the perfect amount of HP to kill him with a normal shot. It only took me 8 tries to slay the Orphan of Kos. With Orphan defeated, I popped the 3 umbilical cords and begin the final fight with Gehrman, the first hunter. Fun fact, I have never beaten Bloodborne. This is my first time fighting Gehrman. On my first playthrough, I'm still working on getting all the achievements and currently working on Yharnam, Thumarin Queen achievement. So this will be my first time beating the game. Gehrman wasn't too bad. I did struggle with his first phase and getting comboed to death, but besides that, it was fairly simple to stagger him with Bloodletter. Once I got him to his second phase, it got even easier to punish his attacks. My main focus was to just use Bloodletter on Gehrman and save the bone marrow shots for the secret boss. But when I saw how low Gehrman's health was, I said fuck it and started shooting. My mistake was that I wasn't at full health, so when Gehrman got a lucky hit off on me, it killed me. This isn't that big of an issue until I forgot to restock up on bone marrow and killed Gehrman on my next attempt, only leaving me 7 shots of high damage. Immediately after Gehrman's death, the moon presence shows up. Very simply, I just started shooting, and lucky for me, the moon presence doesn't have a lot of HP. I ended up using all 7 shots, which left the moon presence with a quarter of health left. So I thought my best option was to use Bloodletter at this point, but in hindsight, I should have just kept shooting because this is some bullshit. What the fuck HP amount is that? 0.1%? Sadly, the moon presence got 2 hits off of me and killed me. I laughed it off, went back in, and shot that bitch to death to earn my final slaughter and to finally end this run. Oh boy, let this be a lesson to you all. You can always fail up. But, as the saying goes, work smarter, not harder. I definitely took the harder route this time around, but I learned a lot from it. Oh, and don't forget, fuck Lawrence. With all that said, I want to thank my channel supporters. If you too would like to support the channel or have your name in the video, you can click the Patreon link in the description or click the YouTube join button. With that said, I want to thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, take care.